This episode is brought to you by the Plan Your Year 2025 workshop.
What is a well-ordered family? And how do I get one of those? We're going to find out today on the Catholic Money Show. Thank you very much for joining me today on the Catholic Money Show. We've got a guest who's going to help us really unlock a couple really great things in your family. I'm looking forward to this conversation because he's got this book out called The Well-Ordered Family. And he's got this wheel. I don't know the official name, maybe the family management system, the wheel. I call it the wheel of a great family. And I'm looking to implement this. It's a great book. You might know him as the CEO of Tan Books. You might also know him as the dad of Aiden, Mary, Patrick, Peter, Jude, Paul, Teresa, Imelda, David, Annie, Luke, Thomas, Lucy, Lily, Jane, Elizabeth, and Monica. That's right. Those are all his kids. Please welcome to the Catholic Money Show, Mr. Conor Gallagher.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's great to have you here on the show. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time. I'm sure, I just probably listed off a number of people who are always looking to have some of your time. So thank you for giving some to us.
It's a pleasure to be here. I love talking about this stuff, especially with another dad. It's good. We're just two dads working in the vineyard trying to raise our kids, so.
There we go. Yes, sir. So we're, this is going to come out, later than tomorrow, but tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I'm getting ready. Amanda is upstairs cooking and getting things ready for tomorrow because we will certainly have more people than usual at our table. But what about yours? I imagine you probably have a pretty big table most of the time.
Well, my wife is not at home cooking. She's at home ordering takeout because she'd probably be upset with me saying it like that. But there's a story behind it, and so the story is like 10 years ago or something, we all got sick on Thanksgiving. And so we just looked around for what the heck can we just buy for takeout? And it was just the Chinese place down the road. And so the kids we really like this Chinese stuff better than turkey anyway and mashed potatoes, So it became a tradition instantly. And so for all these years we've we've beefed it up a little bit, right? So tomorrow we'll make homemade egg rolls. My mother-in-law and wife kind of do that. My daughters have learned. So it's really good. So we have upped our game, but it's still just Chinese takeout mostly. And we recommended to the kids, hey, how about a traditional Thanksgiving? Or why don't we try a different nationality of food? Let's do like an Italian feast or something. They revolted, man. It was like, no way. That's our unique Thanksgiving thing. Don't you dare do anything other than egg rolls and Chinese. So that's what we do. And so that's the food. And then, my house every night, or not every night, because the kids are busy, teenagers have activities, but at least once a week, we try to have a big family meal. And that usually includes having some guests over. The college kids bring their friends over, or the high school kids have their friends over. Or maybe I have somebody from work, in from out of town and they're in visiting, or my married kids come over with their spouse and baby, because I got 2 grandkids now. So there's at least once a week where we might have 20 people in the house, and that's totally normal for us. And so having Thanksgiving, we just have my wife's parents come over, and it's really no different than any other.
It's just Thursday
week in our family. Most weeks we have what most families would consider a pretty big party, and that's just the way our life is.
That's great, man. Life is a party. That's right.
I will watch football. I will sit there on my couch and watch football. So that's one thing I will do while they're making egg rolls. And my mother-in-law might roll her eyes at the fact that I'm not making egg rolls and I'm sitting there watching football. But that's okay, because we've been married 20 plus years, so she can not like it. I don't really care.
I like how you mentioned how you described this takeout tradition as an instant tradition. You talk in the book about building a family culture. about being intentional, making different things happen. And then, I mean, we have it in our family. Sometimes something just happens. And even in that moment, even before, whether it's a yearly thing or a monthly thing, before even the chance for it to happen again, you almost can sense, oh, we just came into something. This just became part of who we are. How do you see that fitting into this well-ordered family? And just speak, if you could, just tell us, I don't know, some of your thoughts or reflections in the moment on instant traditions.
Good. Well, my dad always taught me in business. He said, son, the business will speak to you if you listen. And it's a simple little thing, but it's profound if you really learn how to listen to a business. Everything I talk with Wellordered Family, I relate to business. Like that's the whole idea is business principles, business tools for family life. So when you ask a question like that, business comes to my brain instantly, right? Mm-hmm. But it's true. You see, an executive at work is really kind of listening to their business. They're paying attention. They want to understand the dynamics of the interpersonal dynamics. Oh, the sales guy's not getting along with the finance guy. They're fighting. Or the voice of the customer. Customers are getting anxious about this. They don't like what we did on Black Friday sale, or whatever it is. They're paying attention to the money carefully. I mean, I can tell you exactly how much money as of like an hour ago was in my business bank account. And I really don't have any idea about my personal bank account. I mean, it's just because I focus more on the business. Now, my wife can tell you what's in our personal bank account, before and after Thanksgiving, and it really changes around Christmas time, But, my point is like I listen to the business. And so it just speaks to me. And I know its feelings. I know the way it moves. I can sense, as a good executive, I can sense, Jonathan, when something is off, like the pace is off, the tempo is off. It's like the harmony is slightly off. And that's where the CEO or the visionary really has to come in and say, okay, if it continues like this in 6 months, a year, we have a real problem. So I have to sense that before kind of anybody else does. And I do pretty good at that. At home, it's not any different, man. Like that's what mom and dad have to do. They're the visionaries, and they have to listen to the family talking to you. That doesn't mean your kid is talking to you or your spouse is talking to you. It's an organization. It's a community that has its own vibe. It has its own harmonics, and you kind of can hear it. And, when it's harmonious, like right now, my family is like, I guess in a pink, I don't want to say pink cloud because that kind of makes it sound fake, but it's going really well. Right. I mean, and we're listening to it. My wife go out to dinner as co-visionaries of this thing. And we talk and we say, it's going really well. My son just bought his house, or actually has a verbal agreement, got a deal accepted with the builder. And he's 22. He just had a baby. He just passed his insurance brokerage licensing firm or brokerage test. So he's now a certified insurance guy at 22. He's got a great job, beautiful wife, beautiful daughter, and now they're just buying a house. They're entering under contract, I think today. Mm-hmm. And that's the first kid. And then all the other kids seem to be doing really well. There's always little problems. But my point is like we're at dinner and we talk about this going all the way down the line. Everybody's in a pretty good spot. I mean, there's, again, there's always some sour notes every now and then, but the family right now is talking to us, and there's a lot of beautiful things going on, and we're very fortunate. But sometimes that's not always the case. That's my point. Mm-hmm. Is sometimes the family is talking to you, the environment, the Gallagher family system kind of start speaking to us, say something's off. And then Ashley and I have to really figure out what that is. Just like at business, same thing happens at home. So I guess that's kind of a long-winded answer to the question of like traditions, in the sense that traditions just like kind of naturally arise. It's not something that you just kind of force, The fact that we had Thanksgiving dinner with Chinese takeout, it happened spontaneously because that's what life is. And same thing at work. Like sometimes the most important things almost happen by accident. But if you're listening, you say, wow, that was an accident, but it was providential. And so it's beautiful. So you have to, again, think about your family as like this symphony that's kind of playing a beautiful piece of music, and you hear the things that are off and you hear the beautiful harmony, and then just clear insights will arise if you're listening. But we don't listen, Jonathan. We're so stupidly busy in our modern world. We're just going from one thing to the next, and families get strung out, and the kids are screaming out emotionally, psychologically. Spouses are screaming out. The family's screaming out, and mom and dad are too dumb to listen because they're so busy. And that's sort of what this whole thing is about. It's getting people to slow the heck down and listen to your family. Anyway, sorry, but there's a long-winded answer. There you go.
I love it, man. Keep going. Yeah, you're right. You're talking a fair bit. You've mentioned about vision, being a visionary, seeing, where are we going to go? What's going on? And then, of course, we need to have unity around that vision. Have people on board. Have people working together. Have your systems in place. Your the systems, and the smaller
Metrics.
Version of a system is the
macro
procedure,
systems, microsystems, processes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then discernment, making your big decisions, relationships, keeping everybody together in the family, and then the metrics of measuring the thing, of knowing what's going on. You mentioned a little bit, I think, talking about, you talk about it a little bit in the book of we're at work and we're trying to figure out how do we get these teams to talk to each other? How do we improve the communication here? Make sure we're all saying the same thing when we're talking to the customers, all that. And then we come home, and a lot of that intentionality, a lot of the planning, a lot of here's our goal. This is what we're going to do to get to achieve it. This is how we're going to work together towards it. All of that seems to be forgotten. How did you maybe see that in your own life, for those of your friends, and then kind of come to eventually now, putting it all together in the system so the rest of us can figure it out?
Yeah, I think I probably stumbled onto it. I've talked about this so many times now, and kind of my own understanding of my journey through this has deepened. And I think that a big part of the answer is my own pride. And that's kind of, God uses bad stuff for good reasons a lot of times. But, I was tired of coming home and my wife not seeing me on my A game, right? So I'd be on my A game at work, and I'd come home, and she was clearly in charge of all the day-to-day stuff. And, we always make the old joke of, I make all the big decisions, she makes all the little decisions, but in 23 years of marriage, there's never been a big decision. So, no, I don't know. Probably heard older generations have heard that dumb joke, but there was a lot of truth in that. And so, over time, I started saying, why can't my wife see me on my A game? Why can't she see the same guy doing awesome stuff at work every day, where the people in this building know that I'm competent, know I get stuff done, know that I'm somewhat organized, know that I'm able to resolve conflict, know that I'm actually able to be analytical when I need to be. And I go home and I'm tired. I'm just like, just don't ask me any questions. And it's kind of like that. The kids are coming up and say, Dad, can I go do this? And I'm like, I don't know. Ask your mom. I don't know. I've been making decisions all day. Leave me alone. And so over time, I started saying, I really would like to show my wife that she didn't marry a total caveman buffoon, which is pretty much the personality I take on when I get home. And I kind of wish she could. I get to see her on her A game at the way she does everything at home. She wouldn't come to my office and watch me lead a meeting. She never got to see me lead a meeting, ever, And so I started saying, well, maybe I should lead a meeting at the dinner table. Maybe I should have a scorecard and measure important things. Maybe I should lead the family in discussing what our vision is, so I can articulate that. But you do all these things to impress your wife when you're dating her and you're trying to, lock in the deal. And so you're on your A game, and then you lock in the deal, and then you get dumber every day after that until you don't care what she thinks. And that's a terrible place that people get to. And that's why guys get fat. That's why they get lazy. And that's why they just let the wife make all the decisions no matter what, which it puts a horrible burden on women who are just expected to look good, sound good. Their kids have to look good, sound good. They got to do all this stuff for school. They got to cook, they got to clean, and half of them work part-time or more. It's just nuts. And dad is checked out and he's become a loser because of the sin of sloth, which has become a predatory sin. It is the sin of the modern age for fathers and husbands. It's not lust. Everybody thinks it's lust because there's so much perversion. Everybody thinks it's gluttony because everyone's fat. It's not. It's sloth. Men have forgotten how to be the spiritual head of their family because they have just given everything over to let their wives do everything, which is out of laziness. It is not out of like a respect for woman's dignity. It's not at all. It is sloth. It's a whole nother conversation. So I think I was a sloth. I still am to some extent. I mean, come on. I got all 7 deadly sins, in spades, but who doesn't? If they didn't, everybody does. But I wanted my wife to see that I wasn't the dummy that I had been acting like for over a decade in my house. So I started bringing some executive competency into the most important organization in my life, which was my family. And I started bringing leadership to the most important joint venture I had, which is this holy matrimony, this sacramental bond. And it's everybody's experienced this, Jonathan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hold the door for a perfect stranger at the store, but not your own wife. What? You're friendly. You care more about what a perfect stranger thinks. You smile at that person, but then you show your wife your real face. I mean, come on. I mean, like, so all of this stuff happens. We all do it. But I think at work, we're on our best behavior, and at home, we're not. And my mission is to switch that. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to come home and be some kind of leader without taking over all the wonderful things that my wife does, but being a visionary and leading this process. I think people need to do this bad because we are so much better at work than we are at home by and large.
Yes. Wow. Preach it, brother. Come on. So when I'm looking at this, as I read the book, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to be, there's the visionary, and then I've got to be a uniter, and I've got to know the systems and the details and how to do things. We've got to be able to make decisions. I have to nurture relationships. I have to be able to figure out the metrics and measure it all and know what's going on. It seems like a lot of different hats. And if maybe it's certainly, I think a misunderstanding maybe of temperaments and working genius and all of those other things. That can help us figure out, what our strengths are. I'm looking at some of this and thinking, well, I don't know if I can do all these things or maybe do them well. How do you help maybe us mere mortals go do this in our lives, in our families, especially right if we haven't done it before. If we are the caveman on the couch, how do we get started? How do we start not being the buffoon if we've fallen into that for so long and forgotten maybe what we're capable of?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. Think about Chesterton, and he said, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. So we're all going to stink. Like the first time you get off the couch and you're going to train for the 10K, like you might just be able to put on your shoes and that's it, right? But that's kind of like that's the whole atomic habits thing, which has swept the world. Aristotle had this figured out a long time before the author did. But, habituation, like you figure out how to form good habits and you form smaller habits that become atomic. And so, before you even start going to the gym, just you put your gym clothes on. That's it. Like you don't even have to go work out. You can just put your gym clothes on. You do that for a week. The next week you just go to the gym and you can sit there and not work out. But now you're there, you might as well work out. So it's as silly as that sounds, that is what human nature takes.
This episode is brought to you by the Plan Your Year workshop for 2025. It's coming up. You can join us live for this workshop on January 11th, or if you can't make it that Saturday morning, join us anytime on demand with the on-demand replay. When you sign up, you get, of course, your ticket to the live event. You get the audio and video replays, your downloadable, print-outable workbook, so you can go into 2025 with a plan. We're going to reflect a little bit on 2024. We're going to look forward into 2025 and see what does God want that year to look like for us? And in order for that to happen now, what do we need to do on our end to make that happen? It's going to be an incredible Saturday morning. I'm hoping that you will join us. It can be purchased right on its own at walletwin.com/plan your year, or it is also available as part of the super bundle of the Big Catholic Calendar, Big Catholic Planner, and the Plan Your Year workshop. And when you do that, you get some bonus planner calendar stickers thrown in as well. You can learn all about those choices at walletwin.com/calendar, walletwin.com/plan your year, bigcatholiccalendar.com. They all take you right where you need to be to learn about the Plan Your Year 2025 workshop. I'll tell you, we did this last year. Amazing feedback. Great feedback. People loved it. This year, we're making it even better. And what'll make it the best ever is if you join us. So learn more about it at walletwin.com/plan your year. That's walletwin.com/plan your year.
So you got to do this, to implement my system, you have to take baby steps. Do not, I repeat, do not try to implement all of this on day one. There is a process, and our coaching services and our video program that you can purchase kind of helps you slowly walk through it. So the way I see this, Jonathan, is everyone loves assessment tests, right? And so I created an assessment test for your family. You can go to wellorderedfamily.com and take this in about 5 minutes. It just pops up, or click the button that says free assessment test. So this questions your family about each of these parts. And it shows, okay, the Gallagher family is really strong on vision, really strong on unity, but we're kind of bad on metrics, something like that. And so the test results will show you your strengths and weaknesses in regards to these 6 parts. And then you're going to be able very shortly, I think, like probably by the time this goes live, but like in the next couple weeks or a couple days, you can then just buy the unity part or the metrics part or the relationships part, and you get videos and you get a little packet, a workbook to kind of help you implement that. Because I don't want people trying to do all of this. It's like drinking from a fire hose. It'll just blow your head off. So I think that people should start with the assessment test, okay? And then we also offer, I'm not trying to pitch our stuff, really. That's not my point. But to really answer the question, you start with the assessment test. And as I planned this business out, I was asking that exact question. How in the world are you going to do all of this? Number 1, assessment test. Number 2, you get a free 30-minute consultation with my coach. And the reason you want to do that is he can simply give you okay, this is what your assessment test says. It says you're weak on metrics. In 30 minutes, let me just show you how to start using metrics. Don't do anything else. Don't go write a vision statement. Don't go do that. Just do a scorecard, and we're going to help you track. What do you want to track? Screen time for the kids? Ashley and I were talking this morning. We're saying Advent starts Sunday. It's a penitential season. All right. Dummies in America. It's a penitential season. It's not we have to remember that. It's like, it used to be like Lent. And so
it's still purple.
It's still, yes. So we Catholics, we need to sacrifice something in Advent. And so she wants to give up more TV. And so we're talking this morning, like, do we just give up TV completely? And we're like, well, what about Sundays? Well, what about this? What about that? And then she works out fanatically. And so every day she works out, how she stays fit with all these kids. She's like incredible. But she's like, but I really need that TV kind of as a babysitter when I work out every day. It's like, 45 minutes, go watch a TV show so I can work out. Well, I don't want her to give up all of that. So we're sitting here this morning talking about we need to really start measuring screen time during Advent in a different way than we usually do. We really want to cut the TV out, but still have some use of it for our purposes. So we're going to be reassessing what goes on our scorecard for Lent, or for Advent, right? We're going to have an Advent scorecard. I'm going to create an Advent scorecard this weekend. My point is, you start with the assessment test. You do the free consultation with my coach that I employ here. And he'll help you see just little baby steps. Do not try to implement the whole thing. Start with the weakest area in your life and build up from there. Just like atomic habits. You start small, you end up big.
Great. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I know in different other, kind of assessment tests, things like that, right? That's kind of the idea of, let's say, StrengthsFinders. Like, hey, here's the things you're good at. Let's get really good.
Yeah.
But you'd say for this, in order so we don't, right, if we don't have a flat spot on the wheel, we should begin maybe with what is weakest.
Well, I do love building on strengths. I mean, definitely I'm a huge proponent of the different assessment tests like StrengthsFinders, like you mentioned. And so I think in terms of relationships, you should always lean into people's strengths. However, here's the thing. You do need, as a family, you don't have to use this system. This is just my language. But every family, if it's going to be well-ordered, that's why I called it well-ordered. I didn't say perfect. I didn't say always joyful. I didn't say rich. I didn't say, virtuous. I didn't even say virtuous, but well-ordered. Like, you can't be truly well-ordered if you don't have some semblance of all 6 of these. Like, these are essential. These are critical. Do you have to be an expert in all of them? No. But you can't say you're a super healthy and fit person if your cholesterol's super high. You just can't say it. You're not. You're going to die. Like, you need to have a basic order and structure in all areas of health and fitness, right? To be able to call yourself like a well-ordered body, right? You need that. So all I'm saying here is that a little bit of focus on each of these at your leisure and in a certain process. You do need, in my opinion, vision. You can't say that your family's well-ordered if you don't know what you're aiming for. You just can't. You can't say your family's well-ordered if you have disharmony around that vision and you and your spouse aren't on the same page about the most important thing. Sorry, you're a lot of things. You might be great in certain things, better than my family, but you're not well-ordered if you and your spouse disagree on the ultimate purpose of your marriage. Sorry, you're not well-ordered, period. Same thing with metrics. You need to track things that are important to you. Like, what do you want to be excellent at that? And since when are you able to aim for excellence and not track stuff? Every part of life, whether you're going to be an athlete or you're going to lose weight or you're going to be a musician, if you are serious about something, Catholic Money Show. If you want to be excellent at financial management, you got to track it, buddy. Like, you have to pay attention, right? You can't do that psychological thing, which I used to do, which is like take $20 out of the ATM and like not want to look at the balance and just throw it away. You can't do that. You have to be tracking these things. So my point is you have to do a little bit of all of these to really be considered well-ordered. So I want to find out what your weaknesses are and attack those right away, because that's where the bleed is. Like, this is triage. You're bleeding in one of these areas. And so you're not going to start really running fast until we stop the bleed. And the assessment test can help you figure out where the bleed is.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's a lot of families out there. I certainly can speak and say that, we're part of it. Who are, there's some bleeding going on. There's some parts that aren't as good as they could be. And this is really going to help. But I also think a lot of folks out there might not even know or be able to see the difference, right? They haven't known being in a well-ordered family, either when they were growing up or now.
Yeah.
And so they don't know, well, it seems like it's good. Like, the couple down the street, they just got divorced. We're not there, at least not yet. Mm-hmm. So we're probably doing okay. The kids listen to us most of the time. What does it look like? What is that greatness that we're called to in our families when we are well-ordered? How does it help us to be able to respond? What does it look like? What is waiting for us?
What is waiting for you if you're well-ordered? I don't think I've ever been asked that. I've done like 30 of these podcast things. I don't think I've ever been asked that. What's waiting for us? I think you just gave me the title of my next book. I gotta work on this. What's waiting for us? If you are well-ordered, which again, I'm not saying my family is well-ordered. It's just, I'm saying it's not perfect. It's not always joyful. It's not always peaceful, but it's well-ordered. Like, we are moving in the right direction. Again, it doesn't mean perfect, So what is waiting for us if we're well-ordered? I think the answer is that mom and dad, okay, husband and wife, when they're alone and they're talking about their family, they're saying to themselves and to each other, we're doing well, but we can do a lot better. We ain't where we were, and we ain't where we want to be. And so part of being well ordered, Jonathan, is the clarity that we can be so much more than we are. That's part of being well ordered. You now see you're ordered enough to know how much further you have to go. See, the saints, when we talk about at TAN, we talk about the second conversion. The first conversion is, you accept God, you accept Jesus, you get confirmed, you go to Mass, that's fine. But the second conversion is when zeal comes into your heart and you say, you know what? 99% of myself given to God is not enough, because all that means is I refuse to give you everything. I got to do 100%. That's when the saint is kicking in. And I'm telling you, that soul is well ordered, and that's how he's able to see, I have so much more to give. David Goggins, the great ultra marathoner, the great ultra athlete, he's kind of made this rule from the Navy SEALs famous. And he says, when you collapse from exhaustion, you think you have absolutely nothing left in the tank. Scientists have proven you actually have 40% more to give before death. So we think 60%, giving 60%. We interpret it as 100, and it's not. There's so much more. And he knows that because he's a well-ordered athlete. And I think being a well-ordered soul is one that says, oh, it's going fine. I'm doing a lot of what I need to do. I've kind of gotten rid of a lot of the sins of commission, but there's a lot of sins of omission. There's a lot more I can do. I can give so much more to my God. You understand this. If a guy hasn't been to confession in 20 years, he thinks he doesn't have anything to confess. And if he goes to confession once a week, he has something to confess every day. Right? So I think that a well-ordered family is one that's grateful and feels blessed, has conflict, has fighting, but kind of is able to put it in its place and say, okay, that's a short-term problem. We're going to work through it and get to the ultimate purpose because we're visionaries and we know what we're aiming for. By the way, when you're visionaries and you have a clear vision statement, you're able to deal with the conflict in a much easier way because you say, this is small stuff. This is peanuts. This is tiny. We are on the same page for the ultimate thing. That enables you to get past all the small conflicts. I told my son, who's newly married, and shortly after they get married, the honeymoon's over, they start having conflict, like every human being who's ever gotten married. And I said, look, fill out my family master plan, and you'll see you guys are on the same page for all the long-term stuff. So the little fights are within a greater context. And so don't allow this little molehill to become a mountain. You're on the same page. You have the ultimate goal together. And if you articulate it on paper, it's even more clear. So what is waiting the well-ordered family? I would say, after I've rambled all over that question, I would say the clarity that you have so much more to give to your spouse, to your children, and to your God. And that although you've been working hard, you've just gotten started. You might think you're tired. You might think you've given everything, and you haven't, buddy. There's so much more to give, so much more happiness awaiting you, so much more peace, so much more virtue that can be in every person in this family. And every person you're dealing with in that family is going to be here in 10 trillion years because their soul is immortal. Well-orderedness helps you see we're nowhere near done, and we're happy to make the journey.
There we go. Who wouldn't want that? The sign back here, I don't know if it's in focus or anything, but says, it was in my grandfather's house. It says, real success is ending up in heaven. And that is our goal here in our family, here at Wallet Win and the Catholic Money Show. Is the way we handle our money is going to be a contributing factor to being a success in what really matters most. And I think being well ordered in yourself, in your family, is a key attribute of someone who is well on their way.
Think about this, Jonathan. I love it, man, because you were like, you're a money guy. I'm not a money guy. But when you're really successful with your money in the sense of like managing it and you've made your fortune and you're whatever, not fortune, you got out of debt, like you've just handled it super well, you realize, God, I have so much more to give. I can give so much more away. I can be so much more generous than I realized. You stop wasting your money and you realize, oh, I can be so much more generous than I've been. That's what I'm saying is that's well-ordered family financial management. You realize you have so much more to give. And that's, again, I've never been asked the question, I haven't thought, but what's waiting for the well-ordered family? What's at the end of the rainbow? Clarity that you have so much more to give one another and to God. That's what's waiting. That's the reward. That the reward isn't something somebody's giving you. The reward is a clarity that you have so much more to give everyone else. That is the reward.
I love it. I want that. I want it for everybody watching and listening to this. So please check it out. The Well-Ordered Family. You can find more about this at wellorderedfamily.com. You can take that assessment to see what's going on in your family. You can get the book at wellorderedfamily.com, on Amazon, from Tan Books. Probably anywhere you find good books, you'll find this one. Check it out, please, because I want to get to the end of that rainbow. I want to know how much more I can give and be able to do it. So thank you so much. Conor, is there anything else to leave people with, or anything that I forgot to mention on where they can start doing this better?
No, you didn't forget anything. I would just add, we didn't talk about money, and that's fine. I'm glad, because I don't know much about it. But I will say that, money follows mission. And I'll say that, where your treasure is, there is your heart. And so it's obviously a critical factor for families to consider. And while I don't have like a piece of the pie for money, it fits into every little part. It's part of your vision. It's part of harmony with your spouse around knowing how you're managing your money together. It's part of your systems. It's part of metrics. You got to track it. It's part of the relationships, because you got to get your whole family involved in financial management. And then, of course, discernment, learning how to make good decisions together and solve problems together. Money is often the tip of this arrow, the tip of the spear, where it forces us to approach a lot of these subject matters. Part of the reasons Dave Ramsey's so popular is because talking about money makes you talk about all these other important things in your family. So I'm not going to keep going, but your show and your message and your mission and your ministry is so very important, because money enables you to talk about all of these other things.
Absolutely. That's why we do what we do. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to learn more about this. Hop on over to wellorderedfamily.com. Until next time, God bless you, and bye for now.
Again, don't forget to check out the sponsor for this week, the Plan Your Year 2025 workshop. You can join us live on January 11th or watch that on-demand replay whenever you like. You can learn more at walletwin.com/planyouryear. That's walletwin.com/planyouryear. Thank you for joining me this time on The Catholic Money Show. I'll see you next week. And until then, God bless you, and bye for now.